Hey, what's up, guys? It's Toast with ToastyTabletopGames, and today I decided I'd bring back the Decklist stuff since I had some time on my hands and felt motivated enough to do that. I'm going to be showing you guys a commander deck that I built a little while ago today that I mostly play on online, anywhere online really that lets you import deck lists from websites like Architect or Moxfield or whatever your deck building website of choice is. I'm going to show you. It's a maze. If the title would made it make it clear, it's a Maze's End deck. That's the main win condition of the deck. And if you don't know what Maze's End does, or I'll come over here and I'll show you. Maze's End enters tapped, and for 3 and tapping it, you return it to your hand, and you can look for a gate card and put it on the battlefield. And if you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. So that's the main objective of this whole deck. And to do that, we have lots of ways to play different lands and search lots of lands. Specifically gates, all at the same time. So, commander of this deck is going to be Garth One-Eye, merely because he gives us access to every single color. But on top of that, he's not even a terrible commander on his own, since he can be cast and you can make copies of all kinds of classic cards, such as the Black Lotus, Shivan Dragon, all kinds of fun stuff. Lots and lots of fun stuff. The list in particular, though, Disenchant, Brain Geyser, Terror, Shivan Dragon, Regrowth, and Black Lotus. You still have to pay the mana cost for it, but he's really there mostly to get the 5-color access, since you can't play the other commander. What I would recommend, who is now banned. I'm trying to remember his name. It's like Golos, the Tireless Pilgrim. If you know the one I'm talking about, you know the one I'm talking about. Since he's banned from Commander, this is probably the next best choice. So we'll get into the artifacts here. It's pretty generic mana rock stuff, your Signet, your Clue Stones, other Ravnica Guild Signets. Navigation Orb, though, is a newer card. Well, at least this one is printed in the Baldur's Gate one. This got reprinted recently. Since it lets us find gates, I included it for that reason. So you can search for basic lands or gates. And you put it's basically a cultivate on an artifact that you pay like double the mana for, which I mean, could be better, but at least it hits gates, which is the big thing here. That's the big deal. We got all our Clue Stones and Signets, and we have our classic Soul Ring and Stonespeaker Crystal, which I think is actually, I want to say, is almost better than Soul Ring. Since I mean, I guess it is 3 mana more expensive, yes. But for 2 mana and you tap it, you get Graveyard Hate and you get a card off of it. I mean, it's a better Tormod's Crypt in that case, since it's a Soul Ring and a Crypt all together, practically. It's better to have options than it is to have none, in my personal experience. So, excuse me. Getting into the creatures, AC Tyrant of the Gyre Strait, who lets us play extra lands, and whenever lands enter the battlefield under control, we draw cards. So he's going to be a source of card draw, and let us get as many gates down onto the battlefield at one time as we can. The same is true with Augur of Autumn, since we can play lands off the top of our deck with her. And as long as we have Coven, we can actually play creatures and just creatures from the top of our library, which is also good, but really we just want her for the additional land drop. Azusa Lost But Seeking, for the same reasons, we get 2 extra land drops with her, which is really great. So Birds of Paradise is our classic mana source. He honestly probably could be swapped out with like literally anything. But Birds of Paradise is like my pet card, so I feel like if I can play Birds of Paradise, I feel the need to play. I feel the need to play Birds of Paradise. I mean, Coiling Oracle, when it enters the battlefield, we look at the top card of our library, and if it's a land, we'll put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, we get to a hand, so we get a +1. Well, we break even on this card, actually. We break even, and we get a land drop, potentially, which is never a bad trade, especially since it's just a 25-cent common, not terrible at all. Courser Crewfix, we get to play with the top card of our library revealed, and play lands from it. And whenever we play a land, we actually gain life, too. This is, once again, just so I can hit the top of my deck and cycle through the deck faster by getting rid of the lands. Now we got Cultivator Colossus, which is basically our boss monster, in the sense that he's just as big as many lands we control, and we put lands from our hand onto the battlefield tapped, and then if we do, we get to draw a card and keep doing it. So the potential exists for us to play a ton of cards in our deck all at the same time. though in my personal experience, I never hit maybe more than like 1 or 2 lands after him. But you could set yourself up with Cultivator Colossus, with cards that scry, or rearrange the deck however you like. But I personally don't utilize that strategy in this, but that is a possible strategy to utilize if you feel the need to make edits on this. Next, we got our District Guide, and when it enters the battlefield, we can search for a basic land or gate and put it in our hand. I don't think I need to explain why that's there, since that lets us find the things that we want. Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Dryad of the Elysian Grove. We get extra land drops, and lands we control are every land type, in addition to other types. So we kind of you get a little bit of mana fixing going on there, which is great. Yeah, I don't think there's much more to talk about there. Dryad of Elysian Grove is really great for a lot of reasons. He's just there for the land drops. I mean, we do need access to every color to cast our commander, but he's, like I said, he's not really something we're after. He's there so he can get the 5 different colors. That's the big deal here. So we got Elvish Reclaimer is actually going to be a big tool in this deck, since he is 1 drop, 1/2 that gets 2/2 as long as there's a bunch of lands in your graveyard, and for 2 mana and tapping him, you can actually search your library for a land card and replace a land that you already have, which is really great. So you can just play basic lands and then just kill the basic land to find one of the gates that you need, which is really great. Gate Colossus costs 1 less for each gate we control, so he's gonna be coming out for relatively cheap or free, and he's unblockable by creatures of 2 power or less. And we get to recur him whenever we play a gate on the battlefield. As if he's in a graveyard, we put him back on top of the deck, which is really great. Gate Creeper Vine enters the battlefield. We get to look for a land or a gate, which is why it's there. And it's 0/2, but really just there for the search. Not terrible. Gatekeeper Gargoyle gets 1/1 counters. For each gate we control. He's a 3/3 flyer, so anything for the evasion. And on top of how big he's probably going to be, really great. Gretchen Twitchwillow might just be like the weakest creature in this one. I mean, you activate an ability for 4 mana, you draw a card, and you put a land down. It's kind of up for debate whether or not that's worth it. I think she's probably the weakest creature in here, and she could easily be switched out with something else. But this is how I made it, so I'm going to present it this way. Next we got Kira, the Boundless Sky, 4/4 flying Death Touch, and when he dies, we get to choose one of 2 things. We get to search our library for 3 lands. The important thing to note there is that it says land cards, which means we can hit gates that way, and we put them into our hand after revealing them, or we can create an XX Green Spirit creature token where X is the number of lands we control. So once we get a kind of like mini Cultivator Colossus this way. But you're probably going to wind up using him to look for the gates if you don't already have them. So, but at least you have options. Options are important. Lotus Cobra, I don't think I need to explain why Lotus Cobra is here. You get mana fixing for up the wazoo with the Lotus Cobra. Nine Fingers Keen's a new card. Kind of in here for flavor more than anything else. He's a 4/4 menace with ward to pay 9 life. And when he deals combat damage, you look at the top 9 cards of our library and put gates from among them on the battlefield. And if we control 9 or more gates, we put the rest into our hands. Otherwise, the rest goes to the bottom of the library. So this is Nine Fingers Keen is not only a good flavor choice here, but it's actually like a really important tool in finding the gates and finding them insanely fast, especially for 4 mana. Kind of really good. Oracle of Moldiah, additional land drop, and you play with top cards. It does the same effect as other cards do in this deck, just is better, basically. Scute Swarm, I don't think I need to explain. Everyone knows what Scute Swarm does for the most part. And if you don't, then I don't know where you've been. You must have been under a rock or something, because this was all over Arena, and I really don't like this card. It's funny, but I don't like it. In case you don't know, though, it creates 1/1 green insect tokens whenever a land enters the battlefield, but if you control 6 or more lands, you make a copy of Scute Swarm instead. So it exponentially multiplies itself after 6 land drops, which is really good. Seedborn Muse untaps everything during each player's untap step. So if we have let's say activated abilities, activated abilities such as Gretchen Twitchlow, we can actually dump all of our mana in between turns into her ability to draw cards and put land down, which is really great. I don't think same is true with Zimone. Zimone does that same kind of thing. You could probably play around Seedborn Muse a lot more, but I decided not to rely on her too much. But she's a good card no matter what. Tatyova, Bendik Druid, has a land enter the battlefield, and when it does, we gain 1 life and draw a card. So we break even and gain life, which is always great. Card draw is important, and it helps us cycle through our deck, which is why it's there. Ulvenwald Hydra is another boss monster, has power and toughness equal to the number of lands we control, and when it enters the battlefield, we search our library for a land card and put it on the battlefield tapped. So it's going to be at least a 1/1. A fair assessment, right? It's going to be at least a 7/7 since it costs 6, and will find us a land. So it'll be at least a 7/7 with reach every single time, and in this deck should be a lot more. So then Zimone, the Quandrix Prodigy. So for 1 and tapping her, we can put a land from our hand onto the battlefield, and for 4 and a tapper, we can draw a card, and then if we have 8 or more lands, we draw 2 instead, which we're going to have 8 or more all the time. So free card draw, basically. For enchantments, we've got some pretty good staple ones. Some great staple ones, but also some kind of newer ones, like Azusa's Many Journeys. Since we can play an additional land on Chapter 1, gain 3 life, Chapter 2, and then when it flips over, whenever it comes blocked, we untap 3 lands. So we can actually use her to... we can use her to kind of lengthen our turns by getting 3 mana back, potentially every turn, which is really great, though we get the 1 extra drop, which is kind of the whole reason why it's there. So you could probably swap this out with something better, and it probably would only improve the deck, but... I don't think this saga is terrible by any stretch of the imagination. Next, we got Exploration, which I don't think I need to explain why that's there. You get an additional land drop for 1 green. I mean, that's just really good. Guild Summit enters the battlefield. We can tap any number of untapped gates that we do control and draw a card for each gate tapped that way, which is great. So we get card draw, a lot of card draw in the initial casting of this. And then every time a gate enters the battlefield after that, we get to draw a card. And then with as many land drops as we have, we can probably use this card to cycle through a majority of the deck relatively quickly. Rhystic Study, everyone knows what Rhystic Study does, and that's just there for card draw. So I don't think I need to explain why that's good, but it's there. For our instance, we have our Offer You Can't Refuse, which is a newer counterspell. A 1 blue counterspell that just hits non-creature spells in exchange for 2 treasure tokens. It's like a worse swan song. I'd rather give somebody a 2/2 flyer than I would rather give 2 treasure tokens, especially since treasure is so prevalent in a lot of decks nowadays. But a 1 mana counterspell is never bad. It's better to have options than to not, like I said. Beast Within, classic staple. Destroy target permanent, and the controller gets a 3/3 green beast. So the important wording there is target permanent, so it can be literally anything. It can be a land, creature, enchantment, artifact. It can be literally anything, as long as it is a permanent provided. Crop Rotation is we can sacrifice a land, and then we can search our library for a land card and put it on the battlefield. So we sacrifice 1 thing to find 1 of anything. So this could be any kind of mana fixing land. I don't play City of Brass in this deck, but you could be. So you could use it to find City of Brass. You could use it to find the gates. You can use it to find Maze's End. You can use it to find anything in this deck, just about. Eureka Moment, kind of the same thing. We draw 2 cards and we get to put a land down. Not terrible. Could be better, could be worse, but it's more about putting the things down. Fierce Guardianship, a free counterspell. It's a free counterspell. Since it costs nothing when we control our commander. So really good card. Grove Spiral, we get to draw a card and put a land down, so it's like a slightly... It's like, I don't know if I'd say it's better or worse than Eureka Moment, but it's a cheaper Eureka Moment and draws 1 less card. So, Coruscant Grip, classic. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. You need to have good removal spells, so you need to have ways to get rid of threats that might be preventing you from playing more than 1 land, or enchanting key creatures with so that way they can't do anything or anything like that. It's good to just have options. Destroy some big threat or like world enchantment or something. I actually had to deal with that the other day. Crowsand Grip, some world enchantment that wouldn't let me create more than one token at a time, which just really sucked. So yeah, Mystical Tutor. So just you search your library for an instant or sorcery, and there's a lot of good ones in here that help us find the lands that we need and or remove things. So having a way to find the thing you need, really good. Next we got Putrefy, 3 mana removal, and you can't regenerate that creature, which is good. Any amount of removal spell is good. I think there's relatively few removal spells in this deck, I think. But for as many as there are, I think it should be okay since we're trying to play through the whole deck relatively quickly anyways, so you'll probably have them in hand. Realms Uncharted. We search our library for 4 land cards of different names, put them and reveal them. And then an opponent chooses 2 of them, and the rest go to the graveyard, and the rest go in. The chosen cards go into the graveyard, and the rest go into your hand. So you can stack this basically. I mean, you just pick like 4 gates. You get 2 gates no matter what, and then as many land drops as we have, we put down 2 gates, and that could potentially win the game. So Realms Uncharted is really good for looking for the rest of the win condition. Obviously, though, if you use this to search for Maze's End is probably going to go into the graveyard more often than not. So I would avoid searching for Maze's End with this, but instead search for the gates that you need to win with Maze's End. Swan Song, it's a 1 mana counter spell that counters literally any non-creature spell, basically, besides artifacts. And it creates a 2/2 blue bird token with flying in its place, which is great. Better than an offer you can't refuse for that reason, since I'd rather just give people the bird token than give them free mana. And Vampiric Tutor lets us search for things that we're missing. Like it could be searching for Maze's End, it could be searching for that removal spell you need. Yada yada yada. You get options with that. We'll come back to the land since I think the mana base is relatively played out in how it's supposed to go, since it's all going to be the gates and all that fun stuff. So we'll check out the sorceries first. So we got Casualties of War, 6 mana board wipe. 6 mana board wipe. You can choose everything, and you reset the board to turn 0 basically. Well, actually, I read that wrong. My bad, guys. Yeah, you destroy like one of everything, which is pretty good. Definitely doesn't board wipe per se, but mass removal is definitely a good thing to have just in case. Circuitous Root. I can never say that word. Circuitous Root. I said it right the first time. You search your library for up to 2 basic lands or gate cards. You put them on the battlefield tapped. So this helps us find the things we need to win. Which is good, always good. Cultivate's here for a good reason. We search our library for 2 basic lands, put 1 on the battlefield tapped, the other in our hands. So we get mana fixing and mana ramp, which is great. Damn, we get to it's a board wipe. It's a 4 mana board wipe. Okay, we can destroy target creature, or we can overload it with 2 white on top of it and change the word target with each. So we'll destroy every creature, and they can't be regenerated. White is definitely not a focus of color in this deck, but you will have white because you'll have it for a couple reasons. A lot of the gates either tap for white already, or you'll be able to tap for it with things like the command tower or whatnot. So you'll probably be able to overload it basically no matter what. We got Damnation, basically just the all black version of Damn. It says it right there. Destroy all creatures can be regenerated. Not much to talk about there. Dig Up. We can for 1 mana. We can search our library for a basic land and put it in our hand. So you can use it that way, or we can cleave it for 4 mana and search our library for a card and put it in our hand, which is really great. Really, really, really great. It's good to have options like that. You can use it as the ramp spell that it is supposed to be, but you can also use it as the tutor for the late game. I think Dig Up is a fantastic card. Emergent Ultimatum, big card here for 7 mana. We get to search our library for up to 3 monocolored cards with different names. exile them, and an opponent will choose one of those cards, shuffle that card in the library, and we get to cast the others without paying their mana costs. And then the card gets exiled. So we can look for things like our Cultivator Colossus this way. We can look for all our boss monsters this way. Basically, we can look for all the big boys. We look for Uvenwald Hydra. We look for Kira the Boundless Sky. We can look for even enchantments. We can even look for Aristic Study. We can look for all kinds of stuff. It's good options, and I believe it just has cards. So yeah, so you can even look for this. You can even look for board wipes this way, and then cast the board wipes. So lots of options there in Emergent Ultimatum. Really great card. We got Explore. Play an additional land this turn. Draw a card. Not much to talk about there. It's a really great card. Explore the Underdark does kind of the same thing. We look for 2 basic lands or gate cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, and then we take the initiative. Though we're not really interested in that. We might be interested in the initiative for more of the Monarch aspect of it, where we get to draw a card at the end of our turns, but we're not really interested in clearing that dungeon. So Farseek, Commander staple, I'd say, basically lets us find anything that we're missing. Though you're not going to be able to find a lot of these lands, since they don't have the basic land types on a lot of them. But for what it's worth, you're still able to find the basic lands that you need, which is okay. It's all right. Hour of Promise, we search our library for 2 lands, put them on the battlefield tapped, which is great because note that it says lands, so we can look for our gates this way. And then if we have 3 or more deserts, we create 2/2 black zombie tokens, which we will never have 3 or more deserts. It's there for the first half, okay? It's there for the first half. Yes, we're gonna open the gates. Open the gates, 1 mana. We can look for a basic land or a gate card and put it in our hand. Really great. Helps us find the lands we need to win. Rampant Growth there for the same reason. It's just a mana ramp card, this one though. We look for a basic land and put it on the battlefield tapped. I don't think I need to say more than what that does. Reshape the Earth lets us look for 10 land cards, put them on the battlefield tapped. So if you weren't going to win already, you're going to win now. You cast Reshape the Earth, you are going to win. But all right, it does the same thing as Maze's End pretty much. The only thing you need to be sure of then is that you need to have enough mana to tap Maze's End. If you don't already have it, or you need to have a way to untap Maze's End first. Because if you search for Maze's End this way, it'll enter tap, so you can't win that turn. So you need to already have Maze's End, or you need to have a way to untap it, which there isn't a way to untap it in this deck already. So this is just the way to find the rest of the pieces we need to win. We got Sylvan Scrying. We search for a land card, put it in our hand. Same reason there. It doesn't specify what kind of land. We just need to find a land. So we can find the Maze's End this way. We can find anything, and because it goes to our hand instead, there's no threat of it getting thrown into the graveyard or anything like that with cards like Realms Uncharted or anything like that. Then we got Tempt with Discovery. This one's really funny since it's like a politics card. But we search our library for a land put on the battlefield. So we can use it to find Maze's End this way. We can find any of the gates. And then each opponent may also do the same. And for each opponent who does, you get to search your library for a land card again and put it on the battlefield. Which is really great. So you could potentially look for 5 lands, provided that every opponent you play against takes the land drop with Tempt with Discovery. Urban Evolution. You draw 3 cards, you play an additional land. It's not terrible. It's basically a slower Eureka Moment, since Eureka Moment and Growth Spiral are instant speed and cost 1 mana more than Eureka Moment. And then finally, you have Villainous Wealth, where the target opponent exiles the top X cards of the library, and we can cast any number of those spells with mana value X or less without paying their mana costs. Trying to remember why I actually included this card. I'm not actually 100% sure why I did. I think it was I needed a fit for those last 3 colors, but snuffing out options from people's decks and taking their cards is also really funny. It's really funny and is never actually a bad idea. For the most part, This you could probably swap out and it would be okay. I really wish I could remember why I included this card, but I just can't right now. But we'll move into the lands now, which is funny because our mana base is actually one of the cheapest categories on this list. Usually it's the other way around. So we got the Azorius Guildgate. It's gonna be pretty much all gates, I may add, and they're all gonna basically just tap for the colors that they are. Besides the Baldur's Gate ones, those Baldur's Gate ones do some interesting things. Baldur's Gate, we can actually tap to. We pay 2 and tap it, and then add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of gates we control. So we get some good mana fixing there. The Basilisk Gate, 2 and tap, and a target creature gets plus XX until end of turn, where the X is the number of gates we control. Black Dragon Gate, we get to choose a color other than black, and you can tap for black or that chosen color. The Boros Guild Gate, which taps for the 2 things. Citadel Gate, choose a color other than white, taps for white, the chosen color. Cliff Gate does the same thing, but in red. Command Tower, I don't think I need to explain why it's there. Dimir Guild Gate taps for white, blue and black. 4 basic forests. Gateway Plaza. We can sacrifice it unless we pay 1, and we can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. Golgari Guildgate is black or green. Gond Guildgate makes other gates we control enter untapped, which is probably like the most important gate in this whole deck, besides Maze's End, which technically isn't even really a gate. Gruul Guildgate taps for red and green. Heap Gate, we can tap. Oh yeah, we can pay 1 and tap it to add mana of any one color, or we can tap a gate we control and create a treasure token. And treasure tokens are great. I mean, it's basically the same effect twice. Though Heap Gate, I guess you could use in some kind of like artifact generation deck that cares about treasures. We got an island, 4 basic islands. Izzet Guildgate taps for blue and red. Manor Gate taps, you choose a color other than green, taps for green or the chosen color. Maze's End is the win condition. I've already kind of discussed what that does, but you play it, enters tapped, and then the next turn, you pay 3, tap it, return it to your hand, and then if you have 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. Super great. Orzhov Guildgate taps for white and black. Rakdos Guildgate taps for black and red. Seagate, you choose a color other than blue, taps for blue in the chosen color. Selesnya Guildgate, green, white. Simic Guildgate, green, blue, and our 4 basic swamps. So yeah, we got a big focus on the. I think they're Sultai. I think this color combo is Sultai on the big Sultai colors. Yeah, that's the whole deck. The whole deck is to win with Maze's End, and to do it by playing as many lands and finding as many lands as quickly as possible. And that's kind of really funny. Alternative win cons are my favorites. You could probably you could take out a lot of the black stuff in this, since a lot of the black stuff is really in the board wipe colors or tutors. So you could probably run less swamps than other colors. Honestly, it's probably a good idea. Probably take out like 2 swamps and then add 2 basic lands in the other 2 colors, so green and blue. But yeah, I mean, you could kind of do whatever you want with this. This list is public, and I'll link it in the description of this video, and you guys can do whatever you like with it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. And as always, follow me on my socials at ToastyTabletopGames on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.